World Financial Group offers entrepreneurs from all backgrounds the opportunity to start their own business on a level playing field. Dr. Yana Woodhouse, receiving the WCM Wall Street Pioneer Award by the United Black Wall Street of America, Inc., is one of those entrepreneurs.
I see WFG and TFA as a place where African Americans with an entrepreneurial mindset can flourish. And the bonus, we help families and serve the communities across the country.
To learn more about us, go to worldfinancialgroup.com.
We are the sons and daughters of the soul. We are resilient and forever forward-thinking. We ask for nothing else than the opportunity to live and to create the lives that we were meant to live. We want nothing but an equal chance at options and possibilities. The same possibilities and options to live out our potential as our fellow man. We want to be heard, understood, and expressive in our reality. We are the future. We are the creative. We are here.
Live from Soul City. Good morning, community. Good Morning Community is a platform where members of the community can find out more about small businesses, artists, entrepreneurs, authors, poets, members of our community, and community-based organizations. Also, how to get involved, how to connect online, volunteer, or donate, as well as some of the resources and services they provide. At Good Morning Community, we offer encouragement, share resources, and we encourage you to hold yourself accountable. And most importantly, we genuinely want to see you win. My name is Eartha Watts Hicks. I am the CEO of Eartha Tone Books, publisher of Love Changes, Graffiti Mural, and The Planner is a Girl's Best Friend, as well as a freelance writer, editor, and PR writer and affiliate for blackpr.com, executive editor for Harlem World magazine, and a longtime member of the Harlem Writers Guild. I am your host, and today we have three special guests. The artist Anubis is a spoken word artist, director, producer, author, publisher, and cultural influencer. He is the creator, producer, and director of the off-Broadway poetry plays What Would You Do, presented at Times Square's Ann L. Bernstein Theater, and Broken Mirror, which is presented at the Triad Theater. He has recently published a poetry anthology, My People Burn and Other Visions. And the artist Anubis supports emerging urban artists as the founder and executive director of the Harlem Bomb Shelter, cultivating a community of urban writers and poets. You can connect with Anubis, the artist Anubis, and the Harlem Bomb Shelter on Instagram at just exactly the way it sounds, at the artist Anubis and at the Harlem Bomb Shelter. Hey, Anubis, thank you for joining this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, now I want to introduce two more of his mentees from the Harlem Bomb Shelter. Court. Now, Court is born and raised in Oakland, California. So we're happy that she's blessing us here in New York. Court is a rising poet, spoken word artist, performing, who's only entered the scene in May of 2025 and immediately has become one to watch. She's blessed such stages as the Apollo Theater, the Puerto Rican Traveling Theater, Bowery Poetry Club, and so many more. A habitual achiever, love that. She's already won multiple slams and competed in the 2025 New Yorican Grand Slam, and she's just getting started. Welcome, Court.
Hello.
I'm already amped. Great. Okay, now our third poet is Agent Poems. Now, Agent Poems is a 17-year-old poet who uses poetry as a powerful outlet for self-expression and vulnerability. Now, Agent Poems explores themes of loss, love, and vulnerability, crafting raw and heartfelt verses that resonate with readers on a deeply personal level. His work is inspired by real life experiences, emotions, and a desire to bring comfort to those who feel unheard. Now, welcome, Agent Poems.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, and your vision and your mission for your art is very profound. So I know we're all in for a treat.
Yes,
I
yes,
know we're
indeed.
in for a treat. So I'm gonna direct my first question to I'm gonna direct my first question to the artist Anubis. Um, um, one, because your whole career and trajectory is just profound to me. But I want to know, when you first started, at whatever age you started, what gave you the impetus, the motivation to start here now and start doing this, as far as pursuing your art.
Yeah, no, that's very interesting. I feel like there's three different answers to that. So I'll start with the earliest one. I was already into theater and performing arts as a kid. My mom put me in different various programs, but a program that had a big impact on me was a program called Impact Repertory Theater, and I joined at the age of 13, and it was where I was inspired to start writing my own pieces, like not just for class, but just my own things. And as a 13-year-old, I felt real strongly about how people had stereotypes about teenagers. And so the very first full, I guess, performance poem piece that I wrote, a monologue of sorts, was a poem called Just Because I'm a Teen, which really was just me realizing, hey, you know, I can have opinions, but people will listen to them more if it rhymed. So that was kind of like a major inspiration point for me there, just in terms of my artistry. Then around 2011, I started becoming more connected to young poets who were doing this professionally.
Mm-hmm.
I was still doing it as a hobby at the time, and they invited me to an open mic. Particularly, Zora Howard invited me to an open mic that happened in Harlem, and I was like, "This is amazing! I see all these serious young poets." And I said, "When's the next one?" And she said, "No, it was just a one-time event." And then I was like, "Okay, I got to create the space in Harlem for that." And that's kind of how Harlem Bomb Shelter was conceived. But it wasn't until 2019 that I really said, you know what, I'm taking a lot of energy creating spaces for everyone else, and I'm kind of still doing it for myself as a hobby. So it was 2019 when I kind of had gone through some life experiences, and I said I have stories and more stories to tell. That I said, let me take my own artistry as seriously as I promote other people doing.
Wow, wow, and I have a comment that I'm going to save for later, that I've learned just from watching you and how you work with the youth, and how all the different organizations, Impact works with the youth, how you work with the youth through Bomb Shelter. That is something that's so very specific and valuable to Harlem that I hadn't noticed until all of these years later. But that's part, I call it part of the miracle of Harlem and what makes Harlem very special. But for right now, I'm going to direct my same question to a Court. Now, Court, what brought you to this place of developing your poetry, sharing your art, and performing it? And what made you decide poetry? And when did you make that decision?
Um, So I was always someone growing up who like wrote out my feelings. That was just like my form of expression, was just writing out how I felt. And I remember doing like a like poetry event, or a poetry like assignment in middle school. And I remember enjoying it. I enjoyed it so much. And I remember enjoying it more than most people in the class did. And I reached a point in my life where I was kind of just like looking for creativity and just a change in my life. And so at the beginning of 2025, I decided to change my writing into poetry. I was going through some of my notebooks and was like, oh my God, wait, this is poetic. Like, let me, write a poem. So I wrote a poem. And I just kept writing poems after that. And I decided to get on stage because, you know, to me, like, stuff that I've been through was something that was always kind of like overlooked. And like, you know, I was somebody that was always like talked over and didn't really have like a safe space or like a voice. So I decided to go to my first poetry event, and the rest was history. It just, you know, welcomed me with open arms, and I'm appreciative of it.
Wow. Wow. Now, now, Agent, same question, Agent Poems.
For me, I'd say mine's is a lot different. I wasn't much of a writer. Writing wasn't like my favorite thing in the world. But after losing my father, I needed to find a way to express emotion. And I knew one of my cousins was a poet. Is a poet. Her name is a Shada Poet. So I took from her. I started writing poetry, just like in my notes app, and just took from there. And one of my coaches eventually saw like a flyer for one of Anubis's events, the Harlem Teen Slam. So I applied. I went. I did end up losing, but I also met like the director of Urban Word, and she liked my work. She wanted me to work deeper with them. Anubis told me about the Harlem Bomb Shelter and how they do open mics, and that's how I started performing at the Harlem Bomb Shelter. That's how I got into contact with Urban Word, and that's how I took my poetry from just like focusing internally on like the grief I went through with my father to like generalizing it to like other people who might have gone through a similar experience, or just trying to talk about general topics in general that people could relate to.
Wow. Wow. I think that is beautiful, profound, and cathartic. And such a massive undertaking at such a young age to have that much emotional depth to realize that you could use art for that, to make the art your safe space. Now, in working with the Harlem Bomb Shelter, what is, I'm gonna say it this way, because I know that there's all kinds of lessons and all kinds of jewels and gems going on at the Harlem Bomb Shelter, but I want to know for you, Agent, what was your favorite gem, your favorite takeaway that you've learned from your lessons and practices in working with the Harlem Bomb Shelter? And the same question for you as well, Court.
I'd say for me, I think the biggest thing is to know that like there's no limit to your poetry. I think working with Anubis, he in the Harlem Bomb Shelter, just like the whole organization has just taught me like, you know, there's always a new opportunity out there. There's always something to write about. I think that the Harlem Bomb Shelter really pushed me to make better poetry. I met so many creative minds through the Harlem Bomb Shelter that helped me come out with my first book. So it just Harlem Bomb Shelter just opened up a plethora of opportunities for me, and just taught me to keep writing. To look at everything with an open mind, because I could probably look at this wall behind me and write a poem about it. That's just the creative mindset I've adapted from working with the Harlem Bomb Shelter.
Thank you. Wow. Thank you. And Court, same question.
I have a similar answer. I would definitely say not to like underestimate what you could ask for when it comes to poetry in your art, and like where it could take you. You meet a lot of people, and you build this community with people who have taken their poetry in a lot of different ways. People who have written books, people who curate events, and just do a whole bunch with their poetry. And it's definitely taught me to like not like limit myself, and put myself out there, and let poetry guide me.
Wow. Wow. Now I'm gonna step in as someone who's taken one of Anubis's workshop, and I'm gonna volunteer a bit of information. Um, Anubis taught me that art can be structured, because he does a very structured program, and the way he presents, it's amazing. Because some of us as artists are like kind of all over the place, because everyone is used to artists being flighty, because we kind of get caught up looking at the sparkly thing. But regimented structure, laying out what the process is, what the skills are. If I'm gonna say it this way, if he can do it in the way that lands with everyone across the spectrum of life, regardless of what stage, what age, whatever, and it just lands equally. That's amazing in and of itself. And I keep saying in the back of my head, oh, Anubis needs to be teaching this in college. He needs to be a professor or something, because he's better than some of the teachers I had in college when it comes to this program that he does. So, I mentioned that to say, he is the best that, I've seen in a very long
I am
time.
okay.
Not that I compare, but he's the
Well,
best.
interestingly enough, Eartha, you're actually the only one who's taken a full workshop series with me. So Agent Poems, he's mostly done the workshops through our team program, which is developed with me. But with one of my team members, who is Faye Shio, who is our team program manager. But what's really cool about that is she was our first ever Teen Slam winner, and then she, under me, developed to help run the program now. So she runs that program. So Agent Poems not really sat with me directly as a formal workshop, but she's been in the workshop that I designed. Court is actually in a different type of path right now, but with me, in which case she'll probably end up being in one of my workshops. But she's actually working with one of our new events. So she's also learning not just how to be in front of the stage, but one of the things I like to make sure people do is they learn how to create and how to manage, but also it also changes how you what you expect of others, right? When you used to, people who used to be waiters, they have different expectations of their waiters because they know the job, right? So you as an artist, you know what to expect of your people who's managing the space, right? Who's making sure the audience is having a good experience. So she's doing a brilliant job at that. One of my best decisions I made this year, adding her on to the team. So we at the Harlem Bomb Shelter, we're teaching multiple things. Better poets, performers, producers, and people.
Mm-hmm. And that's one thing too. In a college level poetry class, you'll get similes and metaphors and how to use words, and you'll get some suggestions on how to improve it. You are not taught how to make poetry a life, how to be a performing poet, and how to monetize what it is you do with your art. Those are the things you don't learn in college. They just say, okay, here's how you do it. And then they wave goodbye once you get that piece of paper. So, which is why I say when you have a mentor, you have somebody that's vested in your experience as an artist, as opposed to just telling you how to do it. They're vested in seeing you grow, because as a mentee, you are part of their legacy. It's like everything that they learn to pour into the mentee, so that art form can continue and that community can continue. And then the next one and the next one, it becomes legacy. So thank you, Anubis, again, for what you do with the youth and how you do it, and the expertise and the skills, and for even having the sense to, hey, this is what I should do and how I should do it at age 13, because I took my first poetry writing class at age 11 and didn't take another one for 30 years. So
yeah, I would have missed a bit of opportunities if I did that. But really, one of the things we were talking about this, that I don't know how I learned it, but I'm sure I learned it. But was to sit under elders. I mean, maybe it was from youth, right? One of my earliest memories is being in North Carolina with my great grandmother, sitting on the porch shucking peas, and you just sit there. They're sitting in the chairs, you're sitting on the floor, on the steps, and you're just quiet, but you're just sitting there. And I've learned to do that throughout my life. Vosa Rivers, executive producer of Harlem of New Heritage Theater Group, and I used to know that I just wanted to sit and work for him. And when I was 16 that summer, I asked if I could work in his office. He said no, there was no place. It was a small office and he had nothing for me to do. But then my high school, I was at Thurgood Marshall Academy, which was only a few blocks from the office. They gave us an assignment where we had to do community service somewhere. And I proposed to Vosa to let me do my school community service in his office. So now he had okay, well, fine, that makes sense. And that I never left. Literally, I got into the office and never left. And even to this day, I will go into his office at least 3 times a week, sit down in front of him, and I'll just tell him, all right, 15 minutes, talk, right? Just what do you have that I don't have? What do you know that I don't know? You know, and literally one of the wisest things that happened maybe 2 years ago. I spent about 2 decades trying to be Vosa Rivers, and one day I checked in with him. I said, "How you doing?" And he said to me, "You know, everyone always asks, how do I do so many things? I do so much, but really, uh, I do what I could do today, and I do whatever else tomorrow." And I was like, Vosa Rivers, not even Vosa Rivers. He's just doing what he can do, right? You know, so that kind of becomes my mantra, right? Like, what can I do today? And then after that, you know, you can go to the next day. You know, we get so overwhelmed with trying to do it all that you know we're trying to catch up with people who are just trying to live too. You know.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, that is profound because Vosa Rivers is legendary. So, you know, to have that profound wisdom, no, to have that wisdom shared with you, and then to also realize how profound it is, it allows you to kind of cut yourself some slack and do what you can, the best you can, and pick up again tomorrow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Um, Agent Poems, can you give us an example of one of your favorite poems to perform?
One of my favorite poems to perform? Okay. Okay. So my therapist asks, "Are you okay?" I respond with a casual, "Of course, I'm fine." But if you ask me on a deeper level, I'd say, imagine you knew me as the Joker. Not the clown, but the twisted soul beneath the grin. I feel like there's a gun pressed up against my temple, yet I'm the one pulling it. I joke about the pain, saying, "Why so serious?" As if the laughter could ever silence the echoes in my head. But the truth is, the real damage is in my heart, and it just keeps beating despite the chaos. So my therapist asks, "Are you okay?" I say, "I'm great." But on a deeper level, I understand everyone's emotions but my own. I've had tears that have gotten lost in the abyss of my so called soul, and they ask, "Why don't you cry?" I say, "How can I?" I hold the 12 gauge shotgun to my heart like I'm the enemy. Any shot pierces my soul, reminding me that I'm the killing joke. An echo of every wound I've ever endured. So my therapist asks, "Are you okay?" I say, "Are you?" You tell me don't focus on other people's problems, yet you dive into my pain, losing yourself in it. You say, don't let it consume you, but you've become consumed by my suffering. You tell me to set boundaries, yet you blur yours. In our session, you say, don't be so hard on yourself. But how can I not be? When every day feels like a battle, when every moment feels like a war, the 12 gauge is a part of me. It's cold steel pressed close to my heart. It weighs heavy on my chest. You say, don't compare yourself to others. Yet you measure your method against other ways. You say focus on the journey, but you get lost in the maze of my pain. I wonder if you see past the mask I wear, if you understand the storm beneath the surface, or if you only see the calm exterior I show every time you ask, are you okay? It's a reminder of the facade I present, of the struggle hidden beneath the smile, of the storm raging within, the constant clash between what I show and what I feel. So when you tell me to put the gun down, just know it's not about the weapon. It's about the pain that drives me to it, the fear that holds me captive, the uncertainty that shadows every thought. The 12 gauge might be a metaphor, but the wounds it represents are real. Every time I say I'm fine, it's not a lie, it's a shield, a way
Mm.
to protect the broken pieces of my heart, to shield you from the depths of my despair. So my therapist asks, are you okay? And I ask myself the same thing, hoping that one day I'll truly have an answer. Thank you.
Wow. Wow, that was profound, intense, and rhythmic. That was just lovely. Oh my goodness. Wow.
Thank you. Thank
Ooh. Okay. Now I got to ask a question to Courtney. What is one of your favorite themes to tackle in your writing?
Um, Definitely my family. I feel like I've learned a lot about my family through writing, and things that I thought were like normal and healthy, and like kind of learned that like, okay, wait, this is not normal, not healthy, and I actually have a lot of trauma around this. But yeah, like I've learned a lot about my family and different relationships with them and how they show up.
Wow. Wow. So can you give me an example of one of your favorite poems to perform?
Of course. Birds fly over the rainbow. Why, then oh why can't I? Sometimes I forget that you died. I scroll past pictures like, damn, I need to call my grandma. But if I pick up the phone and tell Siri, hey, call my grandma, some random person who received your number will pick up. Now, to call you, I gotta call God first and ask him to hand you the phone. But on the bright side, he always answers, so I never have to leave a message after the tone. But sometimes I forget that you died. I was thrown in the classroom of death at a young age. I've sat in the front in way too many classrooms, funerals growing up. Attended death school more than high school. Had God as my teacher teaching me about the place beyond the rainbow, the land heard of in lullabies, that's where they go one day. They wake up with the clouds far behind them, and I can't go find them. They're with God. I was taught that they've been freed. Rainbows beam auras of the spirits lost. I was taught to see the beauty in it all. Every loss is not a loss. I may yearn for their presence, but this pain is somehow a present. My sorrows are only borrowed tears, rain that had to fall and wash, so we can see clearly, clear skies in my eyes from only seeing all of my family that have died. I've watch loved ones break from the heart-swallowing pain, use God's name in vain because they needed someone to blame as they drowned in blues. And I used to too. Wonder why I can't fly over the rainbow like those bluebirds. If I exude my blue mood, be blue like the birds, what's stopping me from gaining my wings? Why can't I be given what I need to fly to the place behind the sun to come see you? I need you, God was there to teach me the reasoning. Every evening, I wanted to make that wish upon that star. He told me not to wake up where the clouds are far behind me. He's not done with me yet. This be a test. Do I let death be my reason for living, or let living with the pain be the reason I die? Do I die with them or live for them? And I have had to choose my life so many times that I forgot that you died, because a family member dying is just another week to me. And maybe it's weak of me to choose to live, to forget the past and forget you've passed, refuse to let my heart miss you, reminisce you, so I dismiss you and angels kiss you. Give me, when I remember you're gone, your soul holds me and you sing me that one song, that song we used to sing growing up. Somewhere over the rainbow. Thank you.
Ah, wow. Oh, that is absolutely amazing. Wow. Uh, I'm going to save this comment till after Anubis. One shares how, I'm going to say, how are you able to, I'm going to say, work with youth through your programming to just bring this beauty out of them, this natural beauty and just affinity for the art. And it's like nothing about what you guys just did or do is cliche, is nothing about it is cliche. Nothing about it is just the same old cookie cutter form, whatever. You guys are flying and floating along with your words and through the words, and you're performing it, and it doesn't sound like your typical run-of-the-mill stereotypical spoken word. You guys are just acting and theatrical, and it's all an embodiment of what the art is, and it's amazing. So I have to ask Anubis, if you could just say one word, because I know if I ask you your process, we could be here 5 hours. So you got one word to answer. Just, how this beauty just comes out in the art when working with youth. Just one word, if it's possible.
I think the most accurate word is curating. A lot of stuff is already there. I just present it to people to see what, and that's the thing, right? My one word is curating, but that's the thing. A lot of this is already there. There's people doing this brilliant work, young people all over, but people don't get to see it as much. So I get to present what's already out there more than other people might take the time to do. But I'm a curator. That's it.
Thank you, Anubis. Thank you, Anubis. Now I normally buy tickets to see you perform, and I normally try to sit in the front. So if you could share a bit of art with our audience, I would love that.
Sure. So speaking of tickets, I'm gonna do a piece it's the final piece from my news show because as you know, I'm bringing back my two-time Adelco Award nominated show Broken Mirror, but I'm also bringing a new show called The Ballad of Dog God, which Agent Poems in Court, they'll be opening for one of the 16 performances of each. Um, so I'll give you a Griot. Take me in your arms tonight. Take me in your poem tonight. Wrap me in the limbs of your lyrics. Press heavy chest against mine. My bare body's been buried beneath snow falling from the frozen fingertips of life. I'm so lost and alone in a world so cold, I would die to feel warmth even if it's hellfire. So Griot, take me in your arms tonight. Take me in your poems tonight. What's the purpose of a furnace burning in my soul when I can't feel the heat because I'm afraid of the light? What's the point of the power to paint a purple sunrise when you have three eyes but you got no sight, no vision? So see, this is true. The portrait ain't for the painter and your poems aren't meant for you. When you're a firefighter fighting fires, it isn't to rescue you, it's to rescue the people. See, we don't get good to rest with the good, we get good to wrestle the evil. If you're poeting poems for yourself, that's perfect, but we are not equal. See, I know we are griots. Our power wasn't given, it was gifted. We don't gotta write our stories down for spirits to get lifted. That's why our reading and writing are illegal. They'll let a king dream, but when the queen reads you, it's lethal. But the words we wield like weapons can heal too. We call it ritual. They call us savages. But it's our rite of passage. To right wrongs, then write a passage. So we writers pass sage and we write past ages. We conjure generations. Our analogies are ancestral. Our similes are celestial. Our skin be blue black and we bleed black blues. Between the djembe and the boom bap boom, we're built different. When we say lean with it, they rock with it. And the room shifted. We poets are cunning linguists. What I mean is, life and death are in the power of our tongues. The art inside your heart, until words do us part. We are griots. Take me in your arms tonight. Take me in your poem tonight. And for every little girl traumatized by somebody touching their body, there's a poet pouring healing honey from their lips with consent to touch their wounds. For every boy who thinks their loss doesn't count because they lost count of all their boys who lost their lives before they could count, there's a poet collecting blood running like wine into chalice and commuting broken bodies into communion. So take, eat, and when I speak of my experience with the seductiveness of suicide, somebody in the audience was about to take their life until they heard a verse I say, converted from my vertebrae and used it to straighten up their spine. How dare we not realize we're alive to save lives? We griots be gods recording instruments of time. When life is giving lemons, we be the twist of lime. The song that flows through your cells. When you're singing blues in your cell. When you cry and you don't know why, you don't need a reason because we are the rhyme. Griots, take me in your arms tonight. Take me in your poem tonight. Flame keepers, breathe in the embers of pain and sin, then open up your mouth and ignite.
Now, I'm gonna say this: is that poem on paper anywhere, or is this what performance only?
So when the shows come between May 3rd and May 31st, on May 3rd there will be a book. It'll be a double-sided book, where first side will be the poems from the show Broken Mirror, and the other side will be the poems from the show The Ballad of Dog God. So there's the show coming May 3rd, and the book's coming May 3rd.
Wow, and I had to ask because I done peeped about 12 life lessons in that poem. You made me want to kind of get my pen out. I was like, oh, well, yeah, that's kind of true. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit packed.
12,
It's a bit packed piece.
12 life lessons, as in, we're here to help others, but who are we here to help? We got to pay
Hmm.
attention to
Hmm.
those who need the help, So that was profound in and of itself. Wow. Wow. Now I have to ask this. Um, Sorry, in the company of one of my co-stars here. Um, I have to ask, how does it feel being a young artist, a young poet, and having to, not even having to, but being allowed to, or being given and granted a safe space in the presence of other young artists? And everyone is talented, everyone is brilliant, all the ideas are flourishing. But how does that feel, just being, um, having that experience earlier, just as you're developing as an artist? How does it feel at this stage, having that network of young artists around you who nurture you as well? Let's start with Agent.
Oh, okay. I was like, um, I'd say for me, it's definitely helpful. I think a big thing for me, especially as I like dive deeper into poetry, is I started taking it more as a job instead of a hobby. It got like a very serious for me. But being
Mm-hmm.
surrounded by Anubis, other young artists, they kind of remind me that like you don't have to do everything at once.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. You don't always have to write a new poem. You don't always like everything doesn't have to be new. You can focus on older works. You can improve older works. You don't have to rush everything, and it's really helpful because also I'm still in school, so like doing school, performing, like it's a lot all at once. It's really just living for real, but having people to tell me like it's okay to stop, it's okay to slow down, reminding me that like you know poetry is supposed to be fun. You're supposed to enjoy it. Don't force it upon yourself. It's a great reminder, and it keeps me engaged into poetry. It keeps this creative mind open because when you're working on poetry nonstop, it kind of like it'll drain you. You'll get burned out. But again, to have the reminder that like you can stop, you can slow down, you can focus on older works, kind of just slows down my mind, reopens my creative process, and helps me write that next poem or revise that old poem.
Wow, wow. So I want to chime in and say, you're not just performing, your work is profound, and it's profound right now, and this is like an early stage. So where you elevate, the sky's the limit. So I say cultivate your audience, cultivate your community, give back, and keep going. Court, same question.
Um, I I would say blessed, to say the least. Like it is truly a blessing. I actually almost started like writing a poem about like almost to answer the question. And the first line of the poem is my younger self cried when she met me,
Mm.
and I genuinely feel like just having this space and being surrounded by people that do the same thing, and that use their writing to like heal themselves. Like yeah, like poetry is a career, but like you know all poets are trying to do is like heal themselves through their pen, and like, you know, touch other people. And like, you know, the fact that I'm surrounded by a lot of like-minded people, I don't think I've ever been in a space where I'm surrounded by people that are like moved with, you know, as much passion as I have for something, and just so like-minded. And it's very nice to have everybody like learn from each other and be able to learn from people who have been doing it longer than me, even learning from people who are just entering the scene, being able to, you know, everybody just throw ideas out there and everybody kind of bounce off of each other. I think that to have that space is just truly a blessing.
And I love your perspective on how poets are looking to heal themselves with their pen. There's so much truth to that, and it's one of those truths that is elusive. Some people get it sooner, some people get it later. So the fact that you've grasped that, both of you have grasped that, it allows you to free yourself and free others at the same time. This is amazing work that you're doing. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys perform on stage. Now, Court, where can readers, listeners connect with you? Well, let me start this. Is there a book in your future, one that you recently released or one that you're working on? And if so, what is the name of the book? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
And look, all right, let's scrap the book question. Where can readers connect with you on Instagram?
My Instagram is through.cs.lens. That's THROUGH.CS.LENS.
Okay. And Agent, where can listeners connect with you on Instagram?
Listeners can connect to me on Instagram at agent_poems, AGENT_POEMS. I also have a book on Amazon called From the Depths of My Soul, and I am working on a second book that's supposedly coming out in May. I don't know exactly what day yet, but it's coming out in May.
Well, congratulations. Now, Anubis, the artist Anubis, please tell us about the upcoming performances that you have coming up in and around the city, because I definitely want to make sure I get my ticket well in advance and give out those who would love to be there an opportunity to come and definitely support your anniversary for the bomb shelter.
Definitely. So really, it's March, April, May for me right now. March, April, May. So March 22nd is the 14-year anniversary of Harlem Bomb Shelter. Literally cannot believe I've been doing it for 14 years, but we have. So definitely come and support that. It'll be at Room 52, which is 212 East 52nd Street. You can connect with tickets for that on Harlem Bomb Shelter's Instagram page, which is Harlem Bomb Shelter. Then that's March. Then April is something. So for those who don't know, my day job is for the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. But I like to say that I only have one job. I just do it in different offices. So April 25th, we're presenting Griot Fest, which is literally going to be connecting people who are survivors, victims, or witnesses of violence, multiple different types of violence, gun violence, domestic violence, sexual violence, all that stuff. We're connecting them with skills and resources, but then also teaching them how to transform painful experiences into powerful stories. So there'll be poetry workshops, lyricism workshops, storytelling workshops. So that will be April 25th. You still connect with me for more info on that. But the big thing is May 4th, I turn 40. So May 3rd through 31st, I'm doing 16 performances of 2 shows, Broken Mirror, which is really about me in a first therapy session and kind of going through different forms of anxiety and identity. And then the new show, which is the Ballad of Dog God, which is kind of more mythological, this idea of, if we claim this godhood, what are we doing with our purpose, and how are we carrying on legacies of what's come before us. So that's, for more information on that, you can still just follow me at Broken Mirror OMS, Broken Mirror OMS. That's OMS as in one man show, because everything I do is a one man show. But I don't really do it by myself. These two amazing people are absolutely some of my favorite individuals, my favorite poets and people. And they'll be opening up for different ones of those performances. So Age of Poems will be opening up for my first show, which will be a double feature. We'll be doing Broken Mirror, a small intermission, and then the new show. So he'll be opening that on May 3rd, and in May 17th, Court will be opening up for the Broken Mirror show, because after that it'll be Broken Mirror and Dog Got separate shows, and that's going to be absolutely amazing. It's going to be towards the middle of the run. So yeah, just make sure you're checking out Harlem Bomb Shelter, and you connect to all the different poets in our team, in our network.
Wow. Now, Court, I have to circle back to ask this question. Is there a book in your past, present, or future?
I have danced with the idea of making a book. I feel like that is the next step in my my poetry journey. I'm still getting some ideas together. I won't speak too much on it. We're gonna keep it under wraps right now. But but yeah, a book is coming. Ideally, like by 2027 for sure.
Well, let me say this. The minute I realized that you was from California, right? Now I loves me some Maya Angelou. Let me start there. I love me Maya Angelou, phenomenal woman. But the minute I'm like California, and I'm like, wow, imagine what poetic justice would have looked like if it had poetry from someone current. Someone who's young and writing now. Imagine what that poetry would have sounded like and what impact that would have had as far as the art. But then again, Maya Angelou's work is always timeless. But I think they need to make a poetic justice movie every year, because there's poetry now. It's poetry right now. And then there's a lot of young people out here doing poetry. And the way you guys perform it is it's for audiences. And I'm glad that Anubis is giving you guys the mentorship to bring your art to the forefront, to perform on stage as well as develop your art, because it's two parts of it. It's one thing to put it on paper, and another thing to bring forth the embodiment of what the characterization is. And you guys are natural, but Anubis is always he's a master. So you have to be a master to bring it out of people. So I commend all of you for finding the right networks to cultivate your artist self. I think it's actually amazing. Now I have to ask one of the most cliche questions that I'm asked all day, even though it's only morning. Who is your favorite poet? Let's start with Agent Poem. Who's your favorite poet and why? What is your favorite poem and why?
I mean, I don't know. That's a pretty hard question. I've heard a lot of poems. So I will say, I'll go with, I believe his poet name is Black Chakra. This is like one of the first poems I seen, and this was before I started writing. He has a poem called, I can't remember, Son of a Gun. He has a poem called Son of a Gun, and it's just basically about how his father was very hot-headed and how it kind of got passed down to him. It's just like, and it was just like a very strong poem. He used, like, the apple doesn't fall far from a tree. He used things like a shotgun. And it was just like, it spoke to me. It was just so powerful. And that was like one of the main poems that stayed in my head. I remember looking for it either last year just to like show other people. Like, it was just like one of the main poems I've seen that was just like, it was just breathtaking to me.
Wow. Court, same question.
Oh my gosh, this is such a hard question. You asked this question and there's so many like poems and experiences coming to mind. Picking one is really hard. Let's see. Oh my gosh. There's so many people.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm having trouble coming up with a favorite, picking a favorite. Yeah, if you want to like come back to me or something while I think.
Yes. Now let's give the stage to Agent Poems so that he can give us one of his next favorite poems.
One of my next favorite poems. This one I don't perform often, but I'm gonna start performing it because I just think it's my like one of my next strongest.
Mm-hmm.
I don't cry.
Mm-hmm.
People think that means I'm strong. Like my chest is carved from something that doesn't melt under pressure, but the truth is it's not strength. It's muscle memory. It's inheritance. It's a lesson I never learned. Never meant to learn, but learned anyway. Because every time life hit me hard enough to make my vision blur, something in me whispered, don't, not here, not now, not in front of them, not in front of anyone. And I used to wonder where that voice came from. The tightness in my throat, the instinct to look away, wiping nothing from my eyes and pretending that it's dust or sweat or anything but the truth. But then it hit me one night, quiet, sudden. I have never seen my father cry. Not once, not a crack in his voice, not a shine in his eyes, not a moment where he would let the world know it hurt him too. I watched him stand in storms and call it weather. Watched him carry grief on his back like luggage he refused to put down. Watched life break him open in places he never showed because a man isn't supposed to show what it costs to stay standing. And somewhere along the line, I became his reflection. Same jaw, same posture, same quiet. An apple doesn't fall far from the tree, but mine didn't fall at all. It stayed hanging, trying to be the same shape as the branch that held it so I don't cry. And sometimes I wish I did, because I can feel the weight of every tear I've never shed, pressing against my ribs like they're trying to break out. And the only language emotion knows, water. But I hold it like he held it, like his father probably held it, like men in my family were taught to be oceans with no waves, and I hate it. I hate that I mistake silence for strength. Hate that I flinch at softness. Hate that I've inherited a drought in a world begging me to feel, but I love him. And I know he loves me. And even if neither of us knew how to shed a tear without feeling like the world was breaking open, so here I stand, a son with dry eyes, a heart full of water, trying to decide if I want to be the one to pass this down or be the one to finally learn how to reign. And maybe I'll cry one day, not because I'm weak, but because I'm free. So when I say the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, it's because sometimes, just sometimes, it grows roots of its own and becomes something brave enough to bloom.
Wow. And I'm not gonna cry. Right. But I want to say this. I want to say two things. One, I especially love what the Harlem Bomb Shelter is doing and how they're working with youth, because aside from you guys all being just brilliant poets, you are all so emotionally intelligent. You know, just from using poetry as a way to tap into what you're feeling and to express and to be cathartic. There's a level of emotional intelligence that that's mind-boggling to me. So I gotta say that, number one, and then I'm gonna say this to number two. What Anubis and the Harlem Bomb Shelter and Impact and the Harlem Arts Alliance all does within Harlem that makes Harlem very, 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 very special is that anywhere else in New York, they're hoarding I'm gonna say hoard in a whole bunch of kids, audition them all, have them jump up and down, sing at the top of their lungs, backflip, front flip, and then they say, okay, it's number 1, 3, 5, and 127. You're in, everybody else out. Right? But Harlem and the organizations in Harlem trains all the willing and brings out the gifts and all those who are willing to attend and participate. It's like if they're willing to show up, oh, we're willing to teach you. You know, understanding that in Harlem, the only alternative is the street. We're going to make sure you get what you need right here. It's like, oh, you don't need to go outside. We got food at home. And that's what Harlem does, and our organizations and what we do and how we nurture our community. It's like, oh, no. You don't need to go outside. We got community at home. We got skills right here. We got, and we got a snacks and a juice, you know, while you at it. Oh, and a Metro card too, so you can go straight home.
I think it's a real symbiosis, though. It's a real symbiosis because, you know, we talk so much about what people get from Harlem Bomb Shelter. I'm always thinking about what I'm getting from people. You know, when I met Court, you know, I was like, I'd heard about her poetry, and I've heard so much that I don't really care when I hear things anymore. But then when I saw her perform, I was like, yeah, nah, she's dope. But then I'd meet a lot of dope poets. I don't really care for like people who are dope poets, but like not good people. So then I got to hang out with Court, and I'm like, oh, she's cool people. So I'm like, all right. If I have an opportunity where there's room to like, you know, give and get, that's all I'm always thinking, right? It's always be symbiosis. So for me, I'm always like, I would think it's dope to have Court in my circle, you know? Agent Poems, man, he came to the poetry slam and then I was just like, nah, he's super cool. He didn't win, which was okay the first time. We'll talk about the second time. But then he kept coming around. And then, you know, he did the poem, the therapy poem. I was like, all right, listen, I need to surround we talk about people being surrounded by mentors. I surround myself with just great people, right? Because I'm constantly getting things. So for me, I'm like, listen, I need to enhance an opportunity that I have. Who do I want to be? You know, I don't really see like under me, right? It's by my side. Who I want in my vicinity and get there and share. And, you know, here I have something and you have something. So now, as far as I'm concerned, if I have a really dope opportunity and I show up with a really dope individual, then that works as much for me as it does for, you know, them or anyone else. So I think the brilliance is learning from my mentors is that it's not down, it's circle, right? Mm-hmm. You know, I'm giving and I'm getting, and we just make sure that that's constantly happening in equal space. And the higher responsibility is on me. Not because of any other thing other than I've gotten so much. So now I have to keep passing down what other people gave to me and do at least that much, right? But other than that, man, it is a mutual situation as far as I'm concerned.
Wow. Well, I have to stop you right there, Anubis, and thank you all for joining us today. This was marvelous, absolutely marvelous. And I want to remind our listeners to please connect with the Harlem Bomb Shelter on Instagram and connect with all of these artists individually. Roll the tape back to get the Instagram so that you can connect directly from their from what's on the screen here and support all their work throughout their careers, because we're going to be watching everybody here for a good minute. Thank you all, and thank you for joining us, and you have a lovely day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So for those of you who are out here and you're watching, if you want to be a part of Good Morning Community, first, subscribe to Soul City Network on YouTube. Follow us, leave a comment, and then reach out if you have art that you want to share, you have a book that you want to talk about, if you're part of a community-based organization that's doing something useful, something helpful, giving back in a way that's needed, hey, we can talk about it. My name is Eartha Watts Hicks. I'm your host for Good Morning Community, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. Bye-bye.
We are the sons and daughters of the soul. We are resilient and forever forward thinking. We We ask for nothing else than the opportunity to live and to create the lives that we were meant to live. We want nothing but an equal chance at options and possibilities. The same possibilities and options to live out our potential as our fellow man. We want to be heard, understood, and expressive in our reality. We are the future. We are the creative. We are here.